NFL on TNT comes to you from Indianapolis, the Hoosier Dome. And in a few minutes, the Pittsburgh Steelers, with a record of 2-2, will take on the Indianapolis Colts, who haven't won all year. But there is hope among the Colts faithful. Tonight, Rick Venturi makes his NFL debut as the Colts head coach. Hello again, everybody. I'm Skip Carey, along with Pat Hayden. And Pat, a very busy week football-wise in Indianapolis. Ron Meyer has been fired. That precipitates a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, and now the 11th head coach in the 20 years of Colts history with Bob Irsay, the owner.
Yeah, you know, I both know that you have to win in the NFL to stay as a head coach. Ron Meyer clearly knew that when he took the job in 1986. But the thing that's really been surprising to me around this Colt team the last few weeks is that none of the players have stood up and taken any of the responsibility for their poor play, and they have played poorly. Now, I'm not saying Ron Meyer's the next Don Shula, but he didn't miss tackles and miss field goals and throw interceptions and fumble the ball, yet there's been no accountability by this team for their poor play, and poor play is what got Ron Meyer fired. And Skip, if their team doesn't play better, their interim coach, Rick Venturi, won't be the guy next year.
NFL fans know this team is really banged up with injuries, but they've got two marquee players on the offensive side of the ball.
You're right. Jeff George, their quarterback, is the marquee player, the #1 draft pick in the entire draft a year ago. I think he can develop into a great player in the National Football League, but he's really got to have some stability at the head coaching position, at the offensive coordinator position, which he has not had in his first 2 years in the NFL. If he's ever going to reach the kind of potential I think that he can. The other guy is Eric Dickerson that you mentioned. Here's a guy who's the 4th all-time leading rusher in the NFL, and yet there are questions about Eric Dickerson's ability. Does he still have it at age 31? He was quite frank yesterday in addressing that very issue, and he said, I feel like a caged animal. I know people are second-guessing me, but he said, Skip, tonight's the night I want to prove that I still have it, and he'll have that opportunity because tonight the Colts will change their offensive game plan, and they'll go from a throwing team to a running team. Dickerson will run it 25 to 30 times, and that question, does he still have it, will be answered tonight.
You mentioned stability. That's something certainly Pittsburgh has as Chuck Noll starts his 23rd year here, but they've got intensity problems, they tell us.
Well, you're right. They have not played with great intensity, particularly on defense. They're coming off a week. They have David Little back, their inside linebacker, who's going to add an awful lot to that intensity. And one of the things they used their off week for was to look at some young wide receivers, Ernie Mills and Jeff Graham, which we'll see tonight. But Rod Woodson, the all-pro defensive back, said, hey, we have to pick it up 2 or 3 levels. We need bodies flying all over the field on defense to win tonight.
And there's a look at Chuck Noll, as we said, in his 23rd year. And Rick Venturi coaches his first NFL game. The Steelers have won the toss and have elected to receive, and one of the best in the business, Ron Woodson, is the deep end. Dean Biasucci will kick it off for the Colts, who look for their first win. We look for a game with both teams trying to establish the old running game tonight. And we sincerely hope you'll enjoy it. Pretty good crowd here, considering everything. About 50,000, maybe better than that, in the Hoosier Dome. And here we go. Biasucci approaches the football. Nice-looking kick. Woodson fields it at the 5. The return is to the right, and he's got room. Finally run out of bounds at the 46-yard line by Dave McCloughan.
Well, this opening kickoff return started just like last week's game against Seattle. Remember when Seattle brought the opening kickoff back to the 50-yard line? And Rod Woodson said yesterday to us, this game may well be decided on a special teams play. A kickoff return, a punt return, and the thing about Rod Woodson, that's either very well blocked or you have too many big bodies trying to stop him. Because you have a lot of big guys in the Colts, too many slow guys, Woodson's going to outrun them.
Dwight Stone splits to the left. Wide to the right is big Eric Green, and he starts in motion. He is a load. To give us to Barry Foster to midfield.
Take a look at this Steeler offensive line. You're going to see a lot of running out of Barry Foster tonight. Dwight Stone gets to start. Lewis Lips is out with an injury, a pulled quad, so he will not see a lot of action. That offensive line, 2 tight ends, Mike Malarkey and Eric Green. Eric Green will be the focal point of this Steeler offense tonight, both blocking and throwing the ball and catching the ball, particularly on third downs.
Second down, 6 yards to go. Chris Callaway, second-year man out of Michigan, enters the game and splits left. He takes Stone's split. 2 tight ends, Malarkey and Green to the right side. Brister gets straight ahead and driving is Foster, short of the first down. He is stacked up at about the 46-yard line, and a look at the Colts defense.
2 plays, 2 rushes against this defensive line. Remember, the Colts give up more rushing yards than anybody in the National Football League, and it has to start there. They think they can work on the nose tackle, the Steelers do. Some pretty good linebackers, although they're missing their best one, Jeff Harrod. Dwayne Bickett, the outside linebacker, has been had a pleasant year. And the corners and then safeties, free safety and strong safety, have a big adjustment night ahead of them tonight because of all the formations, all the tight ends the Steelers use.
3 tight ends in the game for the Steelers on 3rd and 2. Bobby Brister. Foster. No, I don't think so. No, the spot will be at the 45. He's going to be short. Scott Radisek came in and made the stop. He's a linebacker for the Colts.
Scott Radisek, number 97, he is one of the inside linebackers. The guy had 20 tackles last week against Seattle. Now, this looks like it's going to go for a first down. But Radisek, the inside linebacker, read the pull. Blitz came kind of submarine him, got an arm in there, and stopped him short of the first. But boy, and that looked like it was going to go for about 10 yards.
Dan Straczynski will punt it away to Mike Pryor, who stands at the 10-yard line. He's a second-year man out of Illinois State. Good snap, plenty of time. Booming kick. Fair catch is called for, and he makes the fair catch at about the, well, we'll see the mark at either the 8 or 9-yard line. A 37-yard kick and a flag on the play. Let's hold the phone here. Our referee tonight is Larry Nemmers.
It's going to be a break for the Colts.
Ineligible receiver downfield on the kicking team, number 95. Still 4th down.
So they'll make him kick it again and hope for better field position. And again, Pryor will be the deep man, and Straczynski will kick it away. We have 12:35 left in the first quarter.
Boy, that's a big break for the Colts, because when your offensive team is struggling, you don't want to start your first possession on the 8-yard line. Believe me.
Another booming kick. This one may make the end zone, and that will be a gain of 12 yards for the Colts, and they'll start at the 20.
Yeah, that's a bad punt, too.
50-yard kick, but into the end zone. So it nuts out at 30, and Jeff George heads into the game. He's in his second year. He's had 3 offensive coordinators already. They're making it awfully tough for him to develop, aren't they?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think what's going to have to happen, if he is ever going to reach the enormous potential that he has, and he has, but it's just potential. There's a process of becoming a frontline NFL quarterback. He needs stability at head coach and offensive coordinator, and that's what he's going to need in the next coaching situation here with the Colts.
First and 10. Indianapolis has the ball for the first time tonight. Dickerson pulls forward, gets 2, maybe 3 yards. Thomas Everett got there a little late, but no flag thrown. And Hardy Nickerson made the stop.
Well, Anthony Johnson, number 23, who coming into today led the NFL with receptions, will end up more as a blocking back as the Colts run the ball tonight. But it's in the offensive line where the Colts have had all sorts of problems. 6 different offensive line configurations in their 6 games, and that has led to some tremendous inconsistency and really no place for Dickerson to run.
Second down, 7 yards to go. Anthony Johnson with Dickerson in the backfield. Gerald Williams broke too early. Let's see if he was drawn up. And early hostility here.
You know, maybe the Colts need something like that, though, Skip. You know, the Colts may need to mix it up a little bit. Play with a little bit more intensity. If Rick Venturi likes it, yeah.
See who the penalty was on. It was Gerald Williams, the sheer pro out of Auburn, who jumped.
5 yards.
It was on him.
Second down.
Good cadence here by Jeff George. Just changed it up. You know, it's hard to believe, again, a nose tackle, and Williams is really one of the premier nose tackles in the league, but he's got the ball right in front of him. All he has to do is watch the ball, but every nose tackle, every defensive lineman I see in the league is always listening to the quarterback, and you see an awful lot of offsides when approaching.
So it's 2nd and 2 for the Colts. So they've started okay in this game. Dickerson again pulls forward. Parnell Lake. Hardy Nickerson in on the stop, and I think they'll be short of the first down.
Pittsburgh's defense went from number 1 a year ago, and now they're giving up 25 points a game and 341 yards. But Gerald Williams, a very front-line premier nose tackle in that defensive line. Some pretty good linebackers. They're delighted to have David Little back, his first start this season. They say he's the soul of this defensive team. Some very good corners in Johnson and Woodson, although Johnson is playing on a very sore ankle.
Brooks wide right, Hester wide left, 3rd and 1. Johnson with a football. No, he is stopped short of the first down. They tried to trick him, and it didn't work. Down at the bottom of that pile is Gerald Williams, along with Greg Lloyd. So neither team can get a first down on their first possession. And Ron Stark will kick it away to Ron Woodson. Remember, there are a lot of new faces on this Colts team, and that normally reflects in special teams. Woodson almost broke the kickoff.
Yeah, and you're right. The other thing is what Woodson was talking about is the Colts have a lot of big players running down on special teams. He thinks he has an opportunity to return one of these tonight because there's some slow people running down trying to catch him.
Stark gets it away. Woodson is going to catch it. Oh, loose football. And the Steelers cover it, and what a break for Pittsburgh. Larry Griffin, a reserve safety, comes up with the ball, a 36-yard kick, then minus 16 on the return.
There is a penalty flag.
Another penalty flag, and Woodson, you could see him thinking about breaking it there.
Well, but Michael Ball just absolutely drilled him, number 31 from the Colts.
Personal foul is the call against Pittsburgh, we think, on Gerald Williams. He ran into the kicker.
Personal foul, roughing the kicker, number 89, defense, automatic first down.
They called it on Ernie Mills.
They called it on Ernie Mills. Now, if he gets blocked into the punter, it's not a penalty, but it looks like he just ran right into him.
Well, Mills and Williams both were there. So that's a first down for the Colts.
Yeah, no, he wasn't blocked into the punter. Yep. And again, just what this offensive line for the Colts needed, just some sort of break like that. All the breaks actually been going against the Colts this year. You get the feeling, if they kissed the frog, it'd turn into a lizard. Kind of situation. The Colts have had that kind of year, but this is the kind of break they needed early.
Pitch play to Dickerson. He cuts back. He gets a few.
There's a lot of reasons why the Colts have not won a game this year, but there's 3 statistics, I think, in particular, which really show you why. Clearly, they've only scored 8 points a game. No one has scored fewer points than the Colts this season. The rushing yards, they're last in the NFL, and you see the sack differential. The Colts have been sacked 18 times, while only sacking the opponent quarterback 7 times. I think those 3 statistics tell you a little bit about the Colts season.
Anthony Johnson, the starting fullback and the league leader in receptions, is the Colt who's on the deck. We'll take a break here in the Hoosier Dome. No score, 9:50 left, first quarter.
The NFL on TNT is brought to you by McDonald's. Getting more for your money. That's McDonald's today. And by America's favorite, Fruit of the Loom. We're keeping America's men comfortable. And by Coors Light, the one that won't slow you down. The Silver Bullet is the right beer now.
Well, it's incredible. Another injury to one of the key Colt players. That is Anthony Johnson, the leading receiver in the NFL, coming in today's action, limping off with a bad ankle. Here's what happened. Number 23, right there in the bottom of the screen. He's blocking Carnell Lake. And then number 93 for the Steelers, Keith Willis, is going to fall on his ankles.
Oh.
And he was a guy that they were going to use an awful lot tonight, not only just as a receiver, but as the lead blocker for Eric Dickerson.
Big Bruce Perkins out of Arizona State takes his place. 2nd and 7 for the Colts. George to throw, and he is hit and knocked down in a big hurry by Keith Willis.
And that is absolutely reflective of what's going on with this offensive line. Here he is. Here's Keith Willis. No chance. Absolutely no chance. It's a jailbreak because the right guard, Mark Vanderpool, number 72, didn't pick him up. Now, Vanderpool is a rookie, starting his first time ever at guard. He was a tackle at Colorado, a 4th-round draft pick. Some of the other offensive line were saying he was scared to death about this game tonight, and you see why. The communication in the offensive line is probably more critical in the offensive line than anywhere else on a football team, and the Colts have not had it this season.
3rd and 15, and this is the kind of situation the Colts hate. They have to put it up. George has time, throws short, ball is loose, flag is down. It's an incomplete pass. Let's see if we have an interference call, because the flag was thrown right there. David Johnson on the coverage. Holding is going to be the call against the Steelers again. They're playing
defensive pass interference
as if they're
number 44, first down.
Yeah, that's a pass interference call. That's not the holding, but David Johnson has always played very tight coverage. Now, he's going to make a lot of plays, but that was clearly interference. What the Steelers said a lot in their off week, didn't play last week, was they wanted more intensity. Chuck Noll said, I don't want guys worrying about making mistakes. Go out there and play hard. I want to see guys around the ball, and sometimes situations like that are going to happen. You're going to get a pass interference if you're playing aggressively.
Bill Brooks wide to the right, Hester to the left. Perkins and Dickerson, the running back. Another first down for the Colts. Dickerson, Cornell late, got in first. Dickerson helped. And now another flag is down.
Boy, I have seen more holding in today's games. I was watching 2 or 3 games, Skip, and I know you were, and more holding in another one there in the Colts today than I think I've ever seen in the last few weeks. You talk about momentum stoppers or drive stoppers, whatever you want to talk. A lot of holding penalties around the league.
Number 62 offense, 10 yards, still first down.
Brian Baldinger, a 9-year veteran out of Duke, caught for holding.
And the holding, the more holding that we're seeing this year goes right along with the more running that we're seeing in the National Football League. This is more running, more holding.
1st and 20. Now Hester comes to the right side. Brooks to the left. Both these teams keep going backwards. There's the throw. It's complete. Hester breaks the tackle. Fumbles it away. Off to the races. Thomas Everett. Flags fly as he is hit at the 24-yard line. Another flag. Flags all over the place. This is a comedy of errors.
Well, again, Rick Ventura trying to settle his team down, but just as we were talking at the top, the face mask against the Steelers, but my goodness. You can't blame Ron Meyer for all the kind of...
Personal foul, 15-yard face mask, number 71.
It's against Kevin Call of the Colts, I believe.
Just we're talking about players taking some responsibility and stepping up and not making mistakes. A good defensive play, the aggressiveness by the Pittsburgh defense. There's Everett. It was Kevin Call, number 71. Take another look at Kevin Call. Again, just scrambling, trying to make a play. Yep.
That's the kind you can get hurt on, though it's inadvertent, but still they have to call the 15 yards. So the Steelers, who have done nothing right so far, have the ball 1st and 10 at the 12-yard line.
Yeah, but neither do the Colts. They haven't. They didn't convert on 3rd and short. They've turned the ball over there.
Now, as the Steelers come to the line of scrimmage, apparently we have a replay.
The ruling on the field is a completed pass and fumble.
Okay.
The play is being reviewed.
Yeah, let's go back and see if Jesse Hester had possession before he fumbled the ball.
I thought surely he did. Mark Burns is our replay official. Let's see.
Going to have possession and
control. After further review, the play stands.
Yeah.
First down.
Yep. Well done by the officials. And a heads-up play by Thomas Everett. Remember, they said they want more guys around the ball. Thus far, the Pittsburgh defense has been around the ball.
Merrill Hunt, Barry Foster under setbacks. Chris Callaway wide to the right. The Pitch back, Foster. Vaults one man, bangs to the 5, loses the ball. It's in the end zone, and the Colts have it. Can you believe this? Mike Pryor covered the fumble. Radisek knocked it loose.
Well, this game has started off more like a preseason game than it has the 6th game of the season.
Halloween comes early in Indianapolis.
And this starts off being like it looks like it's going to be a touchdown because Barry Foster is running hard, and he is running right through some tacklers. He just runs right over Radisek, number 97. Looks like he's going to score, but then it was number 96, I think, who came in and kicked it away. That's Quintus McDonald, the outside linebacker, hustling, and then a recovery by Pryor, and a very happy Coach Venturi.
1st and 10 at the 20 for Indianapolis.
Unbelievable.
We have 8:14 left in the first quarter. Bill Brooks wide right. Jesse Hester to the left. Dickerson and Perkins the running back. George to throw on 1st down. He's chased. He runs. He looks. And he gets out of bounds, losing about 6 yards.
You got to get rid of that ball. Again, conscious of the turnovers. It's not gone well for the offense tonight in the turnover department for both teams, quite honestly. I think quarterbacks get cognizant of those things, and he's not going to force the ball, but he could have thrown it in the dirt or into the ground right into one of his receivers' feet and saved the loss of about 6 or 7 yards.
Greg Lloyd ran him out. Last week, George did not complete a pass to a wide receiver.
That is Milt Jackson. He was formerly the receiver coach, and now he is calling the offensive plays tonight for the Colts, because they fired Liam Burnett, their offensive coordinator.
Gives straight ahead to the running back, Bruce Perkins. Nothing there. Boy, tell you what, Hardy Nickerson is having a heck of a game so far. He was in on yet another stop.
Yeah, well, Hardy Nickerson, and look at number 52, David Little. Nickerson just kind of feeds off the enthusiasm that David Little has brought back to this Steeler defense.
Clarence Verdun checks into the game. Another wide receiver, James Coley, goes out.
The Colts this year have been miserable getting the ball downfield to the wide receivers, mostly because of pass protection.
George had to unload in a hurry, has a man, it's Brooks, complete, and down he goes short of the 1st down at the 26-yard line around Woodson on the stop.
Okay, you need 14 yards, and sometimes your receivers are not going to run down 15 yards on the route, but there's a big cushion there. But you see the defensive back just keying in, it's a zone, keying in, it's Woodson, telling the linebacker in front of him, he's yours. That's pretty good defense, just preventing him from getting the 1st down, keeping everything in front of Ron Woodson.
Ron Stark is going to try to kick it, and Ron Woodson's going to try to run it back.
Watch the way Woodson snags these punts, too. He uses his hands like no punt returner I've ever seen.
Although it misfired on him last time. Stark has time, gets it away. It's high and short. Woodson signals for a fair catch and makes it at the 37-yard line, a 37-yard kick, and no return. So the Steelers will go to work here in a scoreless game, but a lot of action, eh? 6:13 remaining in our first quarter.
Okay.
Be sure to join us next Sunday on TNT as we travel to the Seattle Kingdom. The Raiders and the Seahawks get together. Last year, the Raiders won both meetings. It all gets underway with the Silver Bullet Stadium show a half hour earlier at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Then the Raiders and Seahawks next Sunday on TNT. Dwight Stone back in at wide receiver. Eric Green splits for the right. Brister to throw on 1st down. Complete to the big guy. Green across midfield down to the 47-yard line before Chris Good out of Alabama wrestles him down, a 16-yard completion.
You know, Eric Green is a very unusual guy. He started this play in the backfield, then shifted to a wing, and then ran a pattern like a wide receiver. Now remember, he is 6'5", 285 pounds, but he's got the body movement of a little wide receiver, of a man much smaller. He can make cuts, but he's the only guy who may be able to block a nose tackle on one play and then outrun a strong safety for 40 yards the next.
Dwight Stone back in the game. He's wide to the right. 1st down. for the Steelers. Callaway in motion. The give is to Foster, up in there. Down he goes. John Hand makes the stop. The big guy out of Alabama, 275-pounder.
Yeah, Rick Venturi was saying about John Hand yesterday, we're hoping to really get him revved up. He needs to start playing hard every down. If we get that kind of effort out of John Hand and Travis Davis and Donnell Thompson, our front three will do a lot better job of stopping the run. Now, you see Venturi, he is still acting as defensive coordinator. Early in the week, he said, I want to call the plays, too. Wednesday came around, and he realized, hey, that's too much. So he's given that to Milt Jackson, his receiver coach. But he will still call the defensive signals tonight.
Second down, 10 yards to go. Checking into the game is the rookie out of Florida, Ernie Mills, for the Steelers, and he's wide to the left. From the 47-yard line, Brister rolls right, looks. Has Foster in the flat. He breaks one tackle and gets to the 41-yard line. Pickett got there first and slowed him down. And then Matt Jaworski finished him off, the inside linebacker.
Yeah, Dwayne Bickett, the outside linebacker for the Colts, number 50, was saying to us yesterday, hey, it's important that we get off to a good start. Because he said, this is a team that is not confident. And we can't get into situations where we give up some big plays and get our heads hanging. We have not responded to adversity well this year. He said the start was very important.
Green to the left, Callaway to the right. And Jeff Graham into the game and in the slot to the right side.
This is a down for Eric Green.
3rd and 4 from the shotgun. Brister threw it for Green, but threw it high and outside, and the Steelers will have to kick again, and perhaps a moral victory for Indianapolis. They've played abysmally here, but so have the Steelers.
Well, Eric Green came wide open over the middle of this defense. Again, I think Brister thought that Green was going to keep running over the middle, and Green just kind of settled in an open area there.
Straczynski will kick it away, and Mike Pryor will try to return it. He stands at his 10. Straczynski is at his 44. Kick it from about the 48. A boomer. High kick. Can they cover it?
Oh.
No. It gets into the end zone. It was Ernie Mills who tried to down it at the 3-yard line, but he could not. So it's still scoreless. A 41-yard kick. No return. Back to the Hoosier Dome right after this. Running back Anthony Johnson has been taken to the dressing room to have his right knee and ankle examined. We'll let you know as soon as we find out his condition. Colts, for the 3rd time tonight, start at their own 20-yard line. Dickerson, Carnell Lake has him, and he gets to the 21, perhaps the 22.
Yeah, what does it tell you, though, when Carnell Lake, the strong safety, is up there at the line of scrimmage making tackles, and I think that's the 3rd tackle for Carnell Lake. Now, if he's up there that close to the line of scrimmage, now you have an opportunity to either play action, go up top, or just drop back and throw it.
It's almost as if Pittsburgh's saying, we dare you.
Well, you know, it's interesting. There wasn't any element of surprise about Rick Venturi's approach. He announced in the press that he was going to run the football tonight, and the Steelers are playing an 8-man front.
Second down, 8 yards to go. Play action this time. George has a little time and has a man. It's his tight end, James Coley. And he lumbers to the 35-yard line and a first down. You give George a little time, he can hurt you.
Yeah, he is a real talent, but James Coley, too, is part of this revolving door with the Colts. And he is the 3rd different tight end that has started for the Colts tonight. The play action fake, good offensive line protection. That time pushed people past George, and then he found the tight end. But Coley came from the Bears, who was cut by the Bears, had only caught one pass his entire career. Was here for 4 days, and then starts.
First down. Dickerson has room to run this time, and he eludes one man, and there's Lake again to knock him down. It was David Johnson who missed him, but then Lake ran him out of bounds. Talking about those tight ends, Pat Beach of the Colts, out with nerve problems in his neck. Kerry Cash out with a broken ankle, another tight end. Tim Bruton, another tight end, lost to knee surgery, so they've had a timeout.
As I said, Coley was here for 4 days and started. Take a look at Eric Dickerson, and again, the question was supposed to be answered tonight. At 31, does he still have it? Makes a guy miss there, but again, it's Carnell Lake, the 8th defender Oh, yeah, he just gets drilled by, I think, Hardy Nickerson, number 54, right in the face.
Dickerson out of the game now. Kenny Clark is into it. George rushes. Flip to Clark. Woodson pulls him out of bounds.
Now think what's happened to the Colts. They lose Anthony Johnson, their starting fullback. As you said, he's in the locker room. Eric Dickerson, the 4th all-time leading rusher in the NFL. You know, when does it end? Remember, Albert Bentley is out. So here's the hurting Colts, the offensive line. It is staggering what has happened in this offensive line. Tonight they started a 6 different offensive line configuration. And other than this offensive line, a very important player, Albert Bentley, who rushed for over 600 yards a year ago, caught 71 passes. He's out for the year, too.
1st and 10 from the 45-yard line. It's the up-back, Bruce Perkins. He gets very little as he pounds into the middle of that Pittsburgh line, and down at the bottom, Gerald Williams and Hardy Nickerson.
So basically, what the Colts have now is a 3rd-team fullback in and a 3rd-team halfback in, and an offensive line that has been in flux all season long.
Still, they're in a scoreless game with less than a minute remaining in the first quarter, and you would think if that trend continues, it'll buoy them considerably. There are a lot of Pittsburgh people in this crowd, by the way. Bill Brooks wide to the right, Jesse Hester to the left. Continue to work on Dickerson on the sideline. George to throw, has time, has a man. Great leaping catch by Brooks, and yet another first down. On the coverage was Brian Hinkle.
Bill Brooks has never been one of those receivers who necessarily is going to run right by you. But if you give him a little cushion like this and you force him to adjust for the ball, he can do it. He can go up, he can adjust to the ball while it's in the air, and then catch it with his hands and pick up a first down. A great adjustment receiver is Bill Brooks.
So the first quarter is winding down, and the Colts will not endeavor another play here. Things are going pretty well for a team that's 28th defending the rush and 28th in rushing. It's a no-score situation at the end of one, and we'll be back to the Hoosier Dome for the second quarter of the game right after this.
Take a look at the shot that Eric Dickerson took, number 29, by number 54 in white. That is Hardy Nickerson. Now, this is a legal play. He's still up and taking a shot at it, but right underneath the chin does the linebacker Nickerson get him right there. He was over with the trainers and working on his neck and his throat, but he's back in the game right now.
First and 10 for the Colts. They got a little bit of a drive going here. Brooks wide to the left, Hester to the right. Eric Dickerson, he tried to find a place to go and ran out of room. Donald Evans was the first one there. He's out of Winston-Salem, a 273-pounder. So second and long.
It's just not much offensive surge there up on the offensive line. They were talking yesterday about, hey, secure the line of scrimmage, and then the linebackers will let Eric Dickerson deal with. We'll make him make them miss, or he'll run through some tackles on linebackers. But so far, even the offensive line, the line of scrimmage, has not been secured by the Colt offensive linemen.
Second down, 11 yards to go.
In front again with Carnell Lake up there.
And George is going to throw, and no, he's not. That's the 3rd sack of the night. Evans was in on the charge, but the man who made the stop was Brian Hinkle again, the outside linebacker. 3rd sack, as we said. Pretty good early protection, and with an 8-man front, you would think this is the right kind of play to have called a play-action fake. But Brian Hinkle just refused to stay blocked. It was Bruce Perkins, the back, who just kind of completely whiffed on Brian Hinkle, and he makes the sack. This is a guy that's incredibly loyal to the Steelers. They put him on Plan B a year ago, and he said before you did, hey, don't protect me, I'm going to stay. Turned out he got some great offers, but he said, I'm not going to leave because I promised the Steeler organization I was going to stay here, and he's played well. Verdun in the game and split wide right. It's 3rd and long. Screen pass set up. Perkins with it. He's hit from behind and dropped well short of the first down. And a fine defensive reaction. Larry Griffin was in there, and Carnell Lake as well. Yeah, Carnell Lake did a terrific job there, Skip. He had 2 offensive linemen by the Colts blocking him, and he just refused to be blocked. He's down for a moment, gets back up, and makes the play. But it was 2 big blue jerseys trying to block Carnell Lake, and they couldn't do it. 2 big blue jerseys, huh? Too much alliteration, Skipper.
Ron Stark will kick it. That's perfectly all right. Easy for you to say. Ron Woodson is the deep man. He stands at the 10.
No score, second quarter. Another boomer, another short kick, another fair catch by Woodson, and he makes it at the 14-yard line. Then he's bumped, but not enough to draw a flag.
Yeah, well, why not? I mean, if you call a fair catch, you're not supposed to be bumped at all.
It was Quintus McDonald who bumped into him, but no call. We'll see it again as we go out here.
Yeah, it's not a matter of degree, how hard you get hit. You're not supposed to get hit at all when you put that right leg up, the right arm up. That should be a penalty.
12:54 remaining in the first half. No score in the ballgame. Interesting note about this Colts team. Earlier this week, they had 19 players on their roster. They either got on waivers or as free agents.
It has been a revolving door around the Colt camp.
Dwight Stone wide right.
And, you know, football really is about continuity, and they just have not had it. Anyway.
Big Eric Green goes in motion. Foster up in there. He gets maybe 1 yard. No more than that. Down at the bottom of the pile, Quintus McDonald, the linebacker, along with Dwayne Bickett.
Dwayne Bickett, we talked about a little bit earlier. Here is a guy, number 50, is the guy that players can really respect because he's the #1 draft pick, but one of those guys who's playing hard every down. He'll rush the passer, he'll play the run, he'll drop back in coverage. Tonight he'll be their nickel linebacker. And he's got 4 sacks, the leading sacker on the season, 4 on the year.
Ernie Mills and Jeff Graham, 2 rookies in the game. Foster on the run. Oh, boy, he really gets jolted as he crosses the 20 and reaches the 22-yard line. Matt Jaworski among those on the hit. He's out of Colgate. Knee, legs, and leather on him.
Good block by the right guard, number 77, Carlton Hasselrigg. See how he just kind of turned back in? He cleans it up the inside to allow Barry Foster to pick up the big yardage there. Carlton Hasselrigg is an interesting guy. This is only his 3rd year of football. Number 77, the right guard for the Steelers. Was a wrestler in college. Won 6 NCAA championships, 126 straight matches. But he played high school football as a sophomore and didn't play again until last year when he was drafted by the Steelers.
3 yards to go. The crowd getting into it here. Good straight ahead. Merrill Hodge. Did he get enough? It'll depend on the spot. I don't think he did. The Steelers don't either. They send their kicking team on. Now they slow down. Let's see where they mark the football. It's close enough for a measurement. The Steelers had given it up. Their kicking team came tearing into the game, but now they retreat and hope that they got a good spot.
You know, quite a contrast between Chuck Noll and Venturi. Obviously, you talked about it earlier, Skip. He is Chuck Noll in his 23rd season as the head coach of the Steelers.
He is short by 2 inches.
Noll got the job in 1969 after he was on Don Shula's Colts staff, and the team that lost the Super Bowl III to the Jets and Joe Namath. He was then named head coach of the Steelers. He's been here for 23 years, won 4 Super Bowls. I was asking him yesterday, I said, hey, you ever run into a situation like this where a coach has been fired, you get an interim coach? He said, Pat, they're usually fired after the Steelers play them.
Positive outlook, to be sure. Struzinski, the punter. Clarence Verdun is the deep man for the Colts. He stands at his 34. Here's the kick, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
It chases Verdun back to the 25-yard line. He's got some room to run. And he's knocked out of bounds at the 36 or 37. Greg Lloyd and Chris Callaway in on the stop. A 51-yard kick. A 12-yard return, and the Colts have good field position, and they have the ball again. They have monopolized it most of the night, but now we have yet another penalty flag. We've had plenty of those this evening. And our referee, Larry Nemmers, will sort it all out.
You know, one of the things that Rick Venturi is really doing for the first time, well, he had a stint as a head coach at Northwestern, but really making these decisions. Yeah, do you take the penalty?
And eligible downfield on the kicking team, number 95.
That's great.
Still 4th down.
But, you know, do you take the penalty? Do you decline it? You know, you go for it on 4th down. You kick the field goal or go for the touchdown. Those are the kind of things you really can't prepare for. He said he grew up at a dinner table with his father, who was a high school coach in Illinois for 30 years, and said, hey, I grew up waiting for this moment to be a head coach like this in a situation like the NFL. He said, I'm prepared for those decisions, but, man, there's a lot of them you have to make that he didn't have to make last week as defensive coordinator.
Greg Lloyd is snapping the ball. That's a story in itself. Jasinski will kick it again.
Greg Lloyd is the third team long snapper to the Steelers. The first two were injured.
Perfect snap. Another booming kick. Verdun fades back. Fields this one at the 34 and breaks Stone's tackle. Tries to get to the outside and is tripped up from behind by Gerald Williams, or he might have had some room to run. A 47-yard kick. No return, and they wind up with the ball just about where they had it last time. Back to the Hoosier Dome in just a moment.
On TNT is brought to you by the full line of quality cars from Hyundai. Yes, Hyundai. And by Bud Dry. Dry brewed so it drinks light yet satisfies completely.
Colts about to go to work. Anthony Johnson sprained right knee, sprained right ankle. Will not play anymore tonight. Dickerson 6 carries, 13 yards. George 6 out of 6, 47 yards. He calls an audible. On first down. He throws. Woodson had it, dropped it.
I tell you, Rod Woodson can egg you into an audible. He egged Jeff George into an audible. He played a big cushion. He tried to give George the look that, hey, if you throw it out there, you're going to get the easy completion. He saw the audible and just baited Jeff George and then makes the play.
Bill Brooks made a good play. He may have knocked the ball loose from Woodson.
Yeah, you're right. Brooks doesn't make a nice play. But how many times has Woodson done that in his career where he'll lay off, you think you have a big cushion, and then he drives and makes a play?
Well, this time he gets a shot at Jesse Hester, who splits wide left. Brooks says, the heck with this, and goes to the other side. Dickerson, nothing there. He pushes into the line and gets a couple of yards, but not much more than that. Hardy Nickerson was in on the tackle, as was Gerald Williams.
You know, when Dickerson was always at his best in his early in his career with the Rams, when you just gave him a little bit of a seam and he hit it and went. Now there, it looks like he was dancing around a little bit in the hole, because it looked like if he cuts to the left of Bruce Perkins and turns on the juice, he has a gain.
I guess you get to the point where you expect there to not be a hole, and when that happens, you're in a little trouble.
Well, he said that yesterday, as every time I get the ball, I'm just kind of fighting my way back to the line of scrimmage.
Third down, a long 6 possession play for the Colts. George under pressure, throws complete. Verdun breaks one and is run out of bounds. First down. Clarence Verdun out of Southwest Louisiana. Cornell Lake ran him out. Yeah, and Delton Hall as well.
Yeah, it was Delton Hall missed the tackle, but he may have grabbed Verdun right in the eye. Jeez. So the 4th Colt player that's gone down tonight, Skip.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Pretty good protection here for Jeff George. Willis comes in late. Delton Hall gets him right in the face. It looked like a face mask, quite honestly. Delton Hall back in the lineup after being out on IR.
Colts have 6 first downs in this game. The Steelers have only 1. You see the score. There is none with 9:45 left in the first half.
So, Skip, one of the things we said at the beginning of the broadcast was, hey, is Derek Dickerson going to show that, and prove his doubters wrong, that he's 31 and not over the hill? So far in this game, there has not been a lot of room to really be able to judge him. There hasn't been too many holes for Eric Dickerson tonight.
First and 10 from the 47. Looked like the Colts first. Rather, the Steelers were offside. Dickerson makes some great moves and gets about 5 yards with the flag, I think, against Pittsburgh.
That's a lot of broken tackles for 4 or 5 yards, though.
That's the thing that makes it so hard to read those stats. And it is offside against Pittsburgh.
You were asking about that Marine Board scoreboard.
The Marine Board?
Yeah.
The Marine Corps scoreboard, which is coming up right now. It's tonight's U.S. Marine Corps scoreboard.
57, defense, offside, still first down.
Sense of timing, you know that?
Oilers win big. Browns played them tough, but the Jets prevail. Both those teams getting better in a hurry, aren't they? Dolphins came from behind in that game. Chargers finally win their first.
So the teams that have not won a game yet still are Cincinnati and this Colt team.
1st and 5. The situation as the penalty is its simplest. George to throw. He guns it complete to Hester. Hit and knocked down by Woodson at the 38-yard line. Another first down. Rob McGovern assisted on the play as a reserve linebacker.
Now, people fell in love with Jeff George and his quick release. As we look at some more scores. But what does a quick release do? Much like a Dan Marino, what it really does, I think, is allow you to wait a little bit longer for the wide receiver to come open. And it doesn't give the defensive back as much recovery time as if you take a long time to get the ball out of your hand.
Delton Hall checks into the game, and David Johnson out at the left corner for the Steelers. 1st and 10 again for the Colts. Pitch play to Dickerson. Cuts, hit. Down he goes. Greg Lloyd got to him.
Greg Lloyd has got a motor on him. Number 95. Think about Eric Dickerson. When he's in an I formation, he can go anywhere, and he can cut it back, but there's no cutback lanes. We haven't seen one of those tonight. He's made a living getting in the I formation, and if there's a hole there, he'll take it. If not, he'll cut back. But on the backside, Greg Lloyd does a great job of running him down.
He lost one at 2nd and 11 from the 39-yard line. Brooks wide right, Hester wide left. George is going to throw. Lloyd it's Brooks complete. He beats Delton Hall, and he dives to about the 4-yard line.
Penalty flag on the 15.
Let's see what that's all about. The Colts are driving a 33-yard reception. Check the penalty.
Face mask.
They mark the ball at the 6.
Hey, give Rick Venturi some credit, though. They're picking on...
Face mask, 5 yards. Half the distance to the goal on number 35.
Yeah.
First down.
It'll be 1st and goal at the 3-yard line. Delton Hall, who just checked into the game, was victimized.
Right, and they're picking on Delton Hall. Remember, he just came off injured reserve. Has not played yet this season. A big cushion there for Bill Brooks. Now, Brooks is not a speed guy. That wasn't a face mask, but they shouldn't have called that. But Brooks is not a speed guy. You don't need to give him that kind of cushion.
So here's a chance for the Colts. 1st and goal at the 3. Dickerson and Perkins, the running back. George asked the crowd for quiet. He's going to try to flip it in the flat. Dickerson can't hold it. 2nd down and goal. Woodson was covering, but it's just as well Dickerson didn't catch that ball. He'd have lost 5.
Yeah, he catches that ball. It is a severe loss and a headache to Eric Dickerson. Again, in this situation, if you had an offensive line that played a long time together and knew there's a lot of communication between the guys, you'd say, it's hammered in there. We're struggling. We need to get a touchdown here. But they don't have that rhythm. There's no communication, no continuity between these offensive linemen, so you throw the ball on 1st down.
Bob Morosco just joined this team. An extra tight end checks in. So does Jack Lynn. 2nd and goal from the 3. Dickerson pulls his way. He's not going to get there. All sorts of folks down at the bottom of that pile. Brian Hinkle among them. And there was absolutely no hole for Eric at all.
Well, the thing about this Steeler defense, quite honestly, Skip, is that they're small. You think you can run at them, but these guys don't stay blocked. They stunt, they move around, they hustle. You know, you look at all their defensive linemen, 260 pounds, 257. You say, let's run right at them. That's David Brazil, the defensive coordinator. And what looks like a 3 or 4 yard gain ends up being nothing, or maybe 1 yard, as they recover quickly.
The Colts call a timeout here. They want to talk things over with 6:34 remaining. They have a 3rd and goal. And we'll be back to see how they do right after this.
That's Milt Jackson serving as offensive coordinator. His first significant call on 3rd and goal for the Colts tonight. He has never called plays for an NFL team.
They're going to throw for it. George now attracts pressure and throws the ball out of the end zone. He had the Steelers totally fooled, but they dropped back and he could not spot a receiver. They'll have to settle for a field goal. Or an attempted one. The way this game has gone, nothing is certain, and Dean Biasucci will come in. Ron Stark will hold it. Mark Cannon will center it.
You know, interesting, the Colts, they fired Rod Meyer, they fired Leon Burnett, their offensive coordinator, and nobody on this Colts staff has really called plays before.
This is just like an extra point. It's a 20-yard field goal attempt.
Yeah, but he is 4 of 10. He's had a rough year.
We have points. The Colts lead it 3-0 with 6:23 remaining in the first half of the game. A lot of low-scoring games today. We'll talk about that when we come back. Robert Irsay looks on. He's the president, the man in control of the Colts.
Got the Colts in 1972. There's Jim Irsay, his son, who's the general manager.
How many people just threw something through their TV set in Baltimore?
Yeah.
Biasucci will kick it off. Ron Woodson will try to return it. A boomer. And Woodson fields at the pole. Drops the ball at the pole. Only to the 11-yard line.
We are seeing two very, very average football teams play football tonight. We talked about the instability. Look at the coaching changes, the most since 1970. The Colts with 11. Again, and the least, Steelers, Dolphins, Cowboys, where the Steelers have 4 championships, the Dolphins have 2, the Cowboys have 2. I mean, that is the difference, I think. You need stability. It starts with the ownership. It goes right through to the head coach and the quarterback. I don't think you can win championships without that stability.
Callaway wide left. Thrown to the right. Terrible field position for the Steelers. Play action for Bristol. Merrill Hodge at the 15. Gets to the 20-yard line. He is knocked down there by Matt Jaworski.
If you talk to Chuck Noll enough, he always says the word dependable. Merrill Hodge is a very dependable back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not a guy that's going to maybe run 80 yards for you, but if you, at the end of the day, you see all the blocks that he's thrown, the pass protection that he's hung in there and picked up a linebacker, the passes he catches. I mean, he does a lot to help this Steeler team win.
Second down and short. 2nd and 1. Jeff Graham splits wide right. Brister gives. Hodge again. He has the first down. Gets to about the 33-yard line before he's stopped. Quintus McDonald in on the tackle, along with Jaworski.
You know, the last 4 drives, only 51 yards for these Steelers. Again, they have not been lighting up the league at all themselves. 2-2. They have not really beaten a playoff team, or I guess they've beaten 2 of them since 1989. So they've got some things to work out themselves.
That's only their 2nd first down of the night. It comes at the 24-yard line. Dwight Stone back in the game. Goes on motion. Brister rolls right. Goes left. Has a man. Diving catch. Chris Callaway, number 88 out of Michigan, made the reception. The coverage was by Chris Good.
Yeah, remember, Lewis Lips is not playing tonight, so Chris Callaway gets the start. Pretty good pressure up front by Dwayne Bickett, number 50, on the backside. He gets picked up by Merrill Hodge. Remember we talked about all the little things that Hodge does? But Brister steps up in the pocket, delivers a pretty good throw there to Chris Callaway. But it's the little things. It's the high guy like Hodge just getting enough of Bickett so he doesn't make the sack.
Jeff Graham is wide to the left. Now he changes his mind and comes wide to the right.
Jeff Graham, they think, is going to have a big future for the Steelers, number 81.
Brister to throw. Into the flat it comes to Barry Foster, and he breaks that tackle and goes out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Quintus McDonald ran him out. Sorry, Pat.
Excuse me, Skip. Joe Walton, the offensive coordinator for the Steelers, said after last season, we didn't use this guy enough. We didn't use Barry Foster enough. There's Joe Walton. team is much more comfortable with his offensive system. But Barry Foster is a guy you could use in the passing game, which they did right there. But he will fool you as a runner. He looks like a short, squatty guy, the guy that's a physical kind of guy that's going to run over you. He can do that, but he can go by you, too.
Foster gets it again. Cuts inside, is submarined, and down he goes. It was Good again who got him, but a good advance nonetheless. Chris Good out of Alabama in his 6th year.
Every opportunity that Barry Foster has had the last 2 years, he has seized. And, you know, that's all players can ask for is an opportunity. And he has absolutely seized it and has worked himself in as a starter, and I think he's going to be there a long time. Tim Worley, who's on injury reserve, the #1 draft pick out of Georgia, I don't think you're going to see him in a Steeler uniform against him.
Don't invite he and Chuck Noll to the same cocktail party. From the 38-yard line, first down. Hodge pulls his way inside the 35. And the Steelers beginning to move the ball pretty well. Once again, Matt Jaworski out of Colgate in on the stop.
Yeah, pretty good block by the right guard that time. This is Carlton Hasselrig. Now, this is the guy, as we said earlier, interesting story. He's a college wrestler, just really learning about football. Played football as a sophomore in high school, and then not again until he was drafted by the Steelers. And he said every experience is a new one for him, but he's coming on.
Bernie Mills wide right, Dwight Stone to the left, 2nd and 6 from the 34. We approach the 2-minute period. Foster in motion, Brister to throw. He drops the football. He dives and gets it back, but way back. Now it's loose again, but they've ruled the ball down at the 46-yard line. Somebody throw that thing away. Nobody can touch it.
This really is a sad performance by both teams, and Chuck Noll can't believe it either.
A 12-yard loss, and the Steelers maintain control of the football with 2:16 remaining.
You know, Bubby was just kind of stepping inside the pass rush, Skip, and the ball just came right out of his hand when he hit the shoulder of his offensive lineman. You know, a lot of things are happening at the bottom of that pile for old Bubby.
The 2-minute warning is fast approaching, and it is upon us now. 2 minutes left in the first half. It's a 3rd and 18 for the Colts. Or rather for the Steelers. They come to the line of scrimmage. Now they're sent back. There's the story of the game. The Steelers face a 3rd down and 18 yards to go. Don't forget at halftime, the Fruit of the Loom halftime show. All the highlights with the Snake and Ernie Johnson. Fred Hickman, Kevin Kiley will be there. Are you going to be on the halftime show?
No, I'm going to stay right up here with you and have a couple hot dogs.
Okay.
You're going to sit I mean, you have 2 or 3 dog day for you.
So this is probably a 1-dog day.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, again, think about the 3rd and 18. They got a great kicker, Gary Anderson. They would need to get to about the 38-yard line to give Anderson a shot, a legitimate shot.
Stone goes in motion. Brister to throw. Has some time. It's batted in the air. It's intercepted. At midfield, the Colts have the ball. Let's see who came away with it. It was John Baylor out of Southern Mississippi. A reserve defensive back.
Unbelievable. You know, I was watching that Bear game today, all the tip balls in today's Bear-Washington game. Watch that one. Is that John Hand, I think it is? John Hand tips it.
With his hand.
Makes sense. But 5 or 6 tip balls in the Washington game today, and this one tonight leads to the interception here. Now you go from what maybe you're going to tie the game up before halftime, and now Jeff George has an opportunity to get some more, although their offense has been terribly productive.
Let's see how the Colts choose to play it here. They mark the ball at the 49 in Steeler territory. Brooks in motion. Dickerson, they almost fumbled the handoff. He had no shot. Now he gets booed, but you can't blame him on that play.
Yeah, you see the lead back there, Bruce Perkins, number 34. He is supposed to clear the way there for Eric Dickerson. He gets blocked in the backfield, Perkins does, and Dickerson has absolutely no chance. If the lead back doesn't make his block at the line of scrimmage or close to it, an I formation tailback has no chance whatsoever.
Dickerson, 10 rushes, 16 yards. Last 5 carries for nothing. 2nd down, 1:15 remaining. George looks to Dickerson in the flat. He is going to be run out of bounds by Brian Hinkle. Hinkle, a veteran out of Oregon in his 10th year.
Brian Hinkle, an outside linebacker, has to be physical and play intelligently. Here's a guy who can play the pass, as you saw right there against Eric Dickerson. He can play over a tight end. He can cover a back out of the backfield. He's just a good, solid, all-around outside linebacker for the Steelers.
James Coley checks out of the game, and another wide receiver, Clarence Verdun, is in for the Colts.
And this is a real opportunity, too, for Jeff George on 3rd and 9. I mean, they hope to go in not only with a 3-point lead, but they want to get something more. This team needs an emotional lift.
Out of the shotgun, George has a little time and has Hester. What a hit to knock him loose from the football by Thomas Everett out of Baylor. Good throw by George. Good reception by Hester. I don't think you can blame anybody for that. Just a fine defensive play.
You're absolutely right, because Jeff George had this ball right on the numbers to Jesse Hester. But right as the ball gets in his hand, not only does he make the tackle and get there on time, he has the presence to get that right hand up underneath the ball and knock it out of Hester's hands. That's a terrific play by the free safety Everett.
Ron Stark will punt it. Ron Woodson, who's had an exciting night of it, will try to return it. Of course, before the home folks is Woodson. He's out of Purdue. High snap, plenty of time. Good kick. Woodson makes the fair catch at the 12-yard line. He hesitated, then finally made it, and it was wise of him to do so. A 36-yard kick and no return. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, TNT presents one of the most celebrated events ever brought to the screen. Rich Man, Poor Man, a 3-part series beginning tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, continuing through Wednesday night, only on TNT.
You know, last week I kind of gave you a lot of credit for reading the card so well. I rescind that compliment.
I didn't handle that one too well.
No, you know, a couple of fluffs.
Well, that's a little culture. Culture and I don't.
Rich Man, Poor Man. What is that about you and somebody else?
Yeah, you. Stone is wide to the right. See how the Steelers play it here with 57 seconds left in the half. For Stone, it is complete at the 20 and out of bounds. At the 22, good on the coverage.
Well, this has not been a good first half for this Pittsburgh Steeler, particularly their offense. It's a team that has struggled this year. They've won 2 games, but they have not won 30 by any stretch of the imagination. Now, Chuck Noll was saying, hey, this is a team that I think we can build on. Something that I think we can be a playoff team, but we have to get better, and they have not shown much of that here in this first half.
Callaway wide left, Stone to the right. With the pass rush, Brisker unloads and has it intercepted. There's a lateral and down he goes. What a play all the way around. The interception was by Eugene Daniel. And the Colts have it again.
Unbelievable. Just a poor decision, poor throw by Bubby Brister.
Here's a look.
Yeah, he had pretty good pass protection to begin with this, trying to make something happen, but it was a well-covered. The receiver was very well covered by Eugene Daniel. As a matter of fact, the receiver wasn't open at all. He's trying to make something happen, pitches it to Keith Taylor. But watch the coverage at the top of the screen, number 38 on the wide receiver. I mean, the man is just not open. There's just no chance he's going to make a play. And in turn, Daniel, who's a very good cover guy, makes a nice interception.
3 wideouts in the game for the Colts. George to throw. He looks. He has a lot of time. And he throws complete. Down to the 32-yard line. Bill Brooks with it.
Yeah, 2 timeouts does Jeff George. He really ought to use one of them.
But they do not. 25 seconds left.
He's got 2 timeouts.
Verdun wide left. Brooks and Hester right. Look at all the time they're wasting. Lloyd on the rush. The pass is complete. Down to the 27-yard line. It looked like Dickerson made the reception, and now they burn a timeout with 9 seconds left.
You see that? But, you know, if you call the timeout earlier, Skip, and you have the 25 or 28 seconds, maybe you have a shot to get the ball into the end zone, you know. 2 plays, 2 shots at the end zone. Now maybe you have 1 with 9 seconds, but you got to throw it quickly.
This isn't a criticism, but I think any human being, with all the changes that have gone on and the coaching staff of the Colts this week, it's going to take them a little time to shake down and be as sharp as a Chuck Knowles or a Don Shula or somebody who's been around 20 years or so.
You know, you're absolutely right. And as we talked about, one of the big adjustments a coach has to make as a head coach is making all these decisions. I mean, Rick Venturi, as a defensive coordinator, just worried about his defense just a week ago. But now he's got to make decisions about 2-minute offenses and field goals and whether you go for it on 4th and 1. And it happens so quickly. I think you just can't really appreciate it until it happens to you. And I think he'll be a better head coach next week, having gone through all this decision-making process this week.
Still, he's got 1 shot here. He can throw one in the end zone, take his chances, and then try a 44-yard field goal. Let's see how they play it. 9 seconds left.
Yeah, but it's got to be a shot into the end zone.
For Burdan, fly. It's going to be holding against the Colts, and that'll take him right out of field goal range, too.
Just unbelievable.
With 4 seconds left.
Just incredible.
I assume that's what the penalty is.
And Jeff George took a shot to the throat. Yeah, did he?
Holding, offense, number 71, still first down.
That's Kevin Call. He tackled somebody as he was running.
Yeah, watch the shot that Jeff George takes there.
Tough way to make a buck. Aaron Jones was in on the hit. They're going to try the field goal.
God, unbelievable. Yeah, he can't believe it either. You don't take a sack and you don't get a penalty in that situation, and now it's just an impossible, an awfully long field goal attempt for Biasucci.
It will equal his career high of 55 yards. 4 seconds left. No. Wide to the near side of the field. The half is over. Sound and fury signifying almost nothing. The Colts lead it 3-0 at halftime. A crowd of 50,000 looking on. The halftime show coming up next. Stay tuned.
Fruit of the Loom Halftime Report is brought to you by America's favorite, Fruit of the Loom. We keep America's men comfortable.
Hi, everybody. We're back at the Hoosier Dome where the Indianapolis Colts are leading the Pittsburgh Steelers on the strength of a Dean Biasucci field goal, 3-0 at halftime. And a hearty welcome to the Fruit of the Loom Halftime Report. The game, kind of push and shove so far in the first half. A few turnovers out there. Bubby Brister, 5 of 7 with 2 interceptions and only 66 yards. We'll talk more about that game in a moment. But right now to Ernie Johnson in Atlanta to tell us about Washington. Still undefeated, huh, Ernie?
Yes, indeed, Fred, and it's been a thing of beauty out there, by the way, hasn't it, folks? The Redskins and the Bears, Jim Harbaugh against Mark Rippon, the matchup today.
Well, you look at that matchup, and it was not even at all of the turnovers. They went 3 turnovers, 3 interceptions on Harbaugh's part. They basically played each other from time of possession to yards gained, passing and running, Ernie. They played even. Harbaugh didn't make the plays.
The Washington Redskins now a perfect 6-0. Mark Rippon and Art Monk, the combination that killed the Bears most of the day today. They hooked up 6 times for 69 yards. Mark Rippon going 26 yards here to the veteran Art Monk for the early lead. Washington on its way to a 20-7 win over the 4-2 Chicago Bears. Joe Gibbs maintains his dominance over NFC Central opponents, while the frustration continues for Mike Ditka. Here's Iron Mike.
We'll never be a good team as long as we're scoring 7, 10, 20 points. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So until we can get our game going and do the things we have to do without making mistakes out there, then it's going to be a long, hard season.
It's already been a long, hard season for Lindy Infante. The Packers fall to the Dallas Cowboys 20-17 today. Phoenix Cardinals and the New York Giants at Giant Stadium. Jeff Hostetler, a solid day. 14 out of 18 for 200 yards, and that touchdown right there to Zeke Moat. The New York Giants improved to 3-3, beat the Phoenix Cardinals 20-9. Craig Sayer was there. Spent some time with Jeff Hostetler.
Well, thank you. The story here, 137 yards on the ground by Rodney Hampton, 200 yards through the air by Jeff Hostetler. The Giants with I guess 3 scoring drives in the first quarter was a relatively easy victory.
Well, nothing's easy anymore in this league, and it was a good victory for us. We came out offensively and moved the ball real well and put points on the board early, and I think that was a real big plus for us because we've had a lot of heat on us here, and I think we're getting things right on the right track.
With so many distractions all week, was it difficult to concentrate on Phoenix and your game plan?
No, I think we've got enough veteran guys here and guys that know what it takes to win, that you got to be able to put all that stuff aside and concentrate on football. And I think we did a real good job of that this week. We had a great week of practice, and I think it's a great stepping stone for us for the rest of the season.
The negative comments, anonymous players, sometimes harder on the family than it is the player. Your wife, Vicki, having grown up in a family with a coach for a father, does that help?
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's seen it before with her dad and how her mom's handled things, so it's tough on everybody, but she's been able to handle it real well. And, you know, when things come out that nobody can put a face or a name behind it, you don't put much to it because, you know, it's kind of gutless, I would say. And, you know, we've handled things real well, and you don't read the papers, you don't watch the news, you just go out and play your game.
Okay, thanks for being with us, Jeff Hostetler. The story here, the Giants defeating Phoenix 20-9.
And, of course, Jeff Hostetler's father-in-law is Don Nealon, head coach at West Virginia. Philadelphia Eagles and Tampa Bay Bucks. Great comeback by Tampa Bay. Chris Chandler to Bruce Hill with 1:09 to play, 14-13 Bucks. Best comeback of the day, though, belonged to the Detroit Lions. Down 20-3 with 7 minutes to go. They scored 3 times, and this is Barry Sanders with the game winner with under a minute to play. 24-20, Detroit goes to 5-1, beating Minnesota by 4. Sanders had 116 on the day. Denver Broncos, they turned the ball over 3 times, leading to Houston points in a 42-14 Houston victory. San Diego Chargers have upset the LA Raiders today at the Coliseum. Rod Bernstein, number 3 rusher in the AFC, had back-to-back 100-yard games, had 66 today, and that touchdown. Chargers on top of the AFC in team rushing totals. Beat the LA Raiders 21-13. That's the final, first win for Dan Henning's guys. The Cincinnati Bengals still haven't won. Seattle got them 13-7. The New York Jets 17-14 winners over the Cleveland Browns. And the Miami Dolphins 20-10 over the New England Patriots. Here it's Indianapolis 3, Pittsburgh nothing. He still hasn't gotten the call from Art Shell that we expect it at any time. Yeah, loosen up. Back to the Hoosier Dome.
Pat Hayden, Skip Carey back with you in Indianapolis, where the Colts lead the Steelers 3-0. One of the big stories of the game, of course, is Eric Dickerson, the fine running back, great running back of the Colt team. And once again, not much of a night for him, but Pat, it's not his fault, is it?
Well, it's not so far. You know, we said at the top of the show, hey, we're going to find out if Eric Dickerson still has it at age of 31. Well, 10 carries, 16 yards in the first half, but there was not a lot of daylight for Eric Dickerson. Take a look here. This is one of the problems he's faced all night. Quick penetration by the Pittsburgh defense. Now, he picks up 4 or 5 yards here, but he had to break 3 tackles and run around 4 other guys. Now, watch Bruce Perkins, number 34, the lead back who is subbing now for Anthony Johnson. Now, he just stands there, doesn't go anywhere. He's supposed to block someone. He's standing in the hole. Again, Dickerson has nowhere to go. Now, on this play, Dickerson does have a little bit of a crease. Now, this was earlier in the game. Anthony Johnson, the lead back. Now, in the old days, Dickerson would just take this at burst. There's some hesitation there on Dickerson's run there, but clearly, in the first half, not much daylight for Eric Dickerson. There's been no running lane for him to use his strength and speed.
And the second half is underway. Verdun is the deep man, and Clarence fields it at the goal line. Return, but he gets only to the 15-yard line, and absolutely no more than that. Ernie Mills, the wide receiver, down on the stop, but hold the phone here at the 16.
Look at the first half stats. Skip, abysmal offensive production by both teams. This has just been a horribly played game by 2 NFL professional teams. I mean, there really is just no way around it. 4 turnovers, 3 of them by Pittsburgh. The Colts could not convert that into really anything. That's been their story this year.
Holding on the return team, number 27. Half the distance, first down.
So the Colts start in the hole as Keith Taylor, reserve defensive back, is caught for holding.
And again, the Colts, Jeff George, Eric Dickerson were saying yesterday, hey, the start of each half is important for this team. We're not good with adversity. We need a good start in each half.
Brooks in motion. Dickerson has a little crease, tries to get through there, gets only to the 10-yard line. There's Carnell Lake again. Brooks trying to block.
That's the thing about this Pittsburgh defense. It looked like Eric Dickerson had a hole there. Now watch, just for a moment, there's some daylight. But these Pittsburgh defenders don't stay blocked. Watch these guys come off. Nickerson fills in the hole. Carnell Lake is there, and Brian Hinkle spins off a blocker. Now, it looked like it was going to be, enough room for 8, 10, 12 yards, but no. He picks up, 2 or 3. Carnell Lake has played well tonight.
Second down, 7 yards to go. Brooks in motion. Woodson plays in. Dickerson again. Pops to the outside, slips and falls, gets nowhere. Back to the 10-yard line. No more than that. Brian Hinkle in on the stop, but he seemed to just trip.
I think it was really Aaron Jones, number 97, who actually got his hand on Dickerson, because Dickerson looked like he was going to get something going there, get some momentum. But it was Aaron Jones, the long arms of Aaron Jones, number 97 in white, the white jersey. Now, he's got something going here finally. See how they don't stay blocked, though? See how number 97, Aaron Jones, it looked like he was blocked, but he just pushes his guy away and makes the play.
So a possession play for the Colts. Again, 3 wide receivers in the game. 3rd and 6 from the 11. Draw play. Dickerson. No. He'll be well short of it. He got about 3, maybe 4 yards. Rod Woodson among those on the stop. Colts can't move. Dickerson can't move. They'll kick it away.
Dickerson never really seemed to be a guy, even when he was really running well a few years ago, that went east and west real well. It was one of those north and south guys. Barry Sanders can go from side to side. Eric Dickerson is a taller, more physical kind of runner, but if you give him a little bit of room with some air, he'll make guys miss and he'll outrun people. But he's not necessarily a good guy east to west and make guys miss in short parts of the field.
Ron Stark will kick it from about his 4-yard line. Ron Woodson will try to return it. Fair catch. High, booming kick. He bobbled that one, but made the play at the 37-yard line.
It's a very unusual way of catching punts with those hands. I mean, he goes up and catches it way above his head a lot of times on punts. He did bobble it, but he's been one of the most successful punt returners to lead the AFC right now in punt returns. But he's always caught punts that way, up above his head. Fearless kind of guy, and I think you have to be when you're returning punts.
I think this will be an interesting sequence for the Steelers, who have been dreadful tonight offensively. Let's see what they can come up with here.
Dickerson had the eye or the throat problem. Now they're working on his right knee.
Ernie Mills wide to the left. The big guy goes in motion. Eric Green. Brister to throw on first down. Has a man complete, and down he goes. Chris Callaway once again. He's caught a couple of them. Michael Ball on the coverage. 21-yard pickup.
Yeah, it's a nice adjustment there by Chris Callaway, but what really did this was great protection for Bubby Brister. No one in front of him. He could stand up, step up into the pocket, and just drill the ball. Almost knocked away there by Radisek, the linebacker. But when you have that kind of room to step up into the pocket, you're going to complete a lot of passes.
Jeff Graham slot left. Ernie Mills wide to that side. First down, Steelers. The delay, straight ahead. Hodge pulls his way to the 30-yard line before he's knocked down by Mike Pryor. Pryor, the free safety, came up and made the stop, but a sizable advance, and the Steelers have started with fire in their eye in this third quarter.
Watch the left side of this offensive line. These two guys in particular coming out and leading the way for Hodge. And also, you're going to see Barry Foster, number 29, throw a lead block on Radisek, number 97. Good blocking on the left side. Lead block by Barry Foster. You pick up the first.
From the 30-yard line, that 13-yard run, the longest of the night for either team. Whitestone in motion. Hodge again. Gets 4 down to the 26-yard line before John Hand made the stop.
A good block that time by the left guard, Terry Long, number 74. Well-documented situation this summer when Terry Long was in training camp and failed his drug test. Then allegedly committed or attempted suicide. Was in the hospital for a long time. Came back to camp voluntarily. He appealed the drug test. Went in front of the commissioner with his lawyer and a decision has not been rendered. If he is found guilty or the suspension's upheld, he'll miss 4 weeks.
Foster on a sweep right. Cuts it back. He is nailed. In on the stop, Scott Radisek. Matt Jaworski was there as well, and not much for Foster. Third down play coming up.
Yeah, that's a big hit there by Scott Radisek, the inside linebacker. Again, here's a guy who is just playing his heart out. Did last week against Seattle. He is oblivious to the situation, oblivious to the score. All he's doing is playing hard every down. Now, if you can get 45 guys, 46 guys doing that every down, you're going to win some football games.
Leroy Thompson, number 34, rookie out of Penn State, a 6th-round draft choice, into the game for the Steelers on this 3rd and 6.
And he is a receiver. Leroy Thompson runs terrific routes out of the backfield.
He joins Merrill Hodge back there. Brisker to throw. He swings it. Thompson. He gets close to the first down. Let's see where they mark it. I think he's got it.
Yeah, he got it.
John Baylor in on the stop, but they threw it to Thompson as Pat predicted they would, and the chains moved.
Now, the first back drafted out of Penn State by the Steelers since Franco Harris, and it was a surprise all summer for them, really, as a pass receiver. They didn't know what they had. He's got a great feel for running routes. That was just a easy little swing, but real soft hands. The feel of the routes and the good hands make him a very good third down back.
He was hurt some and played a bunch of different positions at Penn State. Nothing there. Barry Foster lost yardage. John Hand was among those in on the stop.
Coach Venturi, Rick Venturi, can get John Hand fired up and playing. This defense is going to be a lot better and play a lot better and stop some runs, because he's a big man. 6'7", 300 pounds, a #1 draft pick, but has not played consistently for the Colts this season.
2nd down, 12 yards to go from the 21-yard line. Dwight Stone wide right. Chris Callaway wide left. Foster and Hodge are the running back. A pitch down the middle, touchdown to Green. Eric Green for the touchdown.
Hey, for a big guy, 285, he can shake those hips all right, can he?
Yes, he can. Looks like he was going with a hula hoop. 21-yard touchdown pass. He was all alone down the middle. And the Steelers have the first touchdown of the night, lead at 6-3.
You know, as abysmal as this game has been offensively, this was a nice play. Wonderful fake by Brister, the play action, and then he just outruns Jaworski. And we said, here's a guy, 285 pounds, who can block nose tackles and then outrun linebackers and beat them by 4 yards. He is a remarkable physical specimen.
The kick is up and good, and it's a 7-3 ball game with 8:20 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
They haven't had many bright spots the Steelers have on offense tonight, but the lone bright spot has been Eric Green.
Presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Indianapolis Colts and the National Football League is prohibited.
Here we go. Burdan at the 5-yard line. Burdan cuts up the middle, is hit and dropped again at the 15-yard line. And once again, a good play this time by Rob McGovern, who grabbed him by one ankle and ripped his shoe off. Let's look at that touchdown play again.
It was really the play-action fake that sold everybody. A wonderful fake by Brister. He fakes the pitch out. You see Hasselrig, the offensive guard, pulling. That drew a bunch of guys off. And then it was just a matchup, Eric Green against Matt Jaworski. See the fake? The linebackers both go out. Jaworski's a step behind, and you can't do that with Eric Green.
7 plays on that drive, 62 yards. It took 4:17 off the clock. Bruce Perkins, Ken Clark, the setbacks now for the Colts. Dickerson not in the game. George to throw complete to Hester, and he gets toasted at the 24-yard line. Among those on the play, Delton Hall, who has checked in. David Johnson will play no more tonight. Lewis Lips will not play at all tonight for the Steelers.
You know, this Colt offense has never been able to get into a rhythm. And there's a complete graphic that shows you 9 of 57 drives have resulted in scores. That is the worst in the National Football League.
2nd and 1 from the 25-yard line. Second man through of the night for the Colts.
Yeah,
they mark it at the 34.
You're right, and there was a little slice there for Ken Clark. He didn't dance around, and he just seized the crease, followed the lead block of Perkins, who gets off the ball this time and makes a block instead of standing in the hole, and Ken Clark picks up the first. It was a good lead block. Perkins didn't hang around the backfield.
From the 34, the give again to Clark. He cuts outside, nowhere to go, and down he goes. David Little, the 12-year veteran out of Florida, made the stop.
David Little, they said he was the soul of this defensive team. You want a guy who brings a lot of experience, a lot of leadership, and a lot of big hits. You bring on David Little. They were giving up 25 points, 341 yards a game a year ago. This is the #1 ranked defense in the NFL. A lot of that is because David Little hasn't been on the field this season.
Perkins and Clark still the setbacks. 2nd and 10. George to throw, swing pass, incomplete, and that's probably just as well. Greg Lloyd was stride for stride with Ken Clark. It's 3rd and 10.
You talk about a good reaction by a guy, Greg Lloyd. Here's a guy we've seen snap on punts. We've seen rush the passer and nearly get to George before. Stop the run, and that time he begins to rush, sees it's going to be a screen, and falls off and makes a play. And he's done a little bit of everything tonight as Greg Lloyd.
3rd down, 10 yards to go from the 34-yard line. The Colts 1 out of 7 on 3rd down conversions. Brooks wide right, Verdun wide left, Hester in the slot right. George has time, has a man, complete out of the backfield. It comes to Ken Clark, and he is nailed short of the 1st down. Brian Hinkle in on the stop.
Really absolutely no chance for a 1st down here. I mean, it's 3rd and 10. This play is designed for Ken Clark to go 8 yards. Now, it's one thing if the back's going to catch the ball on the move, but if he has his back turned to the defense, he's going to get hit and stopped. If you get a back, running away from the defense on an option route or something, maybe he can pick up a 1st down, but not when he turns his back to the defense.
Jeff Graham is now the deep man for the Steelers. Ron Stark ready to kick it. They rush him. He gets the kick away. He's going to run it. He breaks the tackle and off to the races he goes. Jeff Graham. He gets to the 35-yard line. Scott Radisek in on the stop. A 35-yard kick, a 13-yard return, and the pendulum appears to be swinging toward the Pittsburgh team.
That is Sylvester Kroom, the running back coach of the Colts, talking to Ken Clark and Bruce Perkins. Now, that's two guys that Skip, he didn't think he was going to be spending too much time with tonight, but Dickerson's out, Anthony Johnson's out, so 3rd-teamers are now playing.
Warren Williams into the game at a running back position and gets the ball, is hit, and gets perhaps a yard.
Eric Dickerson.
Tony Siragusa on the stop. Excuse me, Pat.
It's all right, Skip. Eric Dickerson was actually taken into the locker room with a strained hamstring, we are told. They've been working on his knee, both knees, his hamstring. He had hit in the chin early in the 1st quarter, so it's been a physical evening for Eric Dickerson. And again, we started the broadcast saying, hey, we're going to find out about him. It's going to be answered. 31 years old. Does he still have it? I don't have an answer for that. He had no opportunities really to run tonight.
Foster gets into the back to the lineup very late here, and Brister has to tell him the play, and now has to hurry. 2nd and 9. He's going to throw out in the flat. Williams with it, 35, 40-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 5. John Hand on the stop. Warren Williams in his 5th year out of Miami caught the pass.
They almost didn't get that snap, Skip, and a lot of communication between Joe Walton into the quarterbacks. They signal in formation, then somebody else runs in with a play, and Norman Schwarzkopf had an easier time communicating sometimes with his troops at the Persian Gulf than these guys have had during the course of the year.
Merrill Hodge and Leroy Thompson now the Steeler running backs. 3:48 left in the 3rd quarter. It's 3rd and a long 4.
Again, Eric Green should be the guy here.
Stone in motion. Brister has a lot of time. Now he's going to run. And now he's going to be hit, and he's not going to John Baylor came up and did it again.
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah. I love the fake, though, by Brister. Again, he is looking for Eric Green. He is well covered that time. Now, remember in grammar school, you used to kind of fake, and you hope the guy jumped up? Well, Bobby gave him the fake. But see, again, he's pretty well covered there by Dwayne Bickett. But that is exactly whom Brister was looking for.
Verdun is the deep man. Dan Straczynski will kick it away. And a beautiful kick. Verdun fields at the 17. Heads to the sideline, down the sideline, across the 30-yard line. Greg Lloyd in on the stop again. Another flag on the play. 43-yard kick, 14-yard return. Every time there's a punt, there's a flag. That must be a message in that.
It really is. It's like a preseason game. We're seeing two basically inept offenses, penalties all over the place. A total of 10 points scored. You can't say much more than that.
It's against the Colts.
Illegal block on the return, number 42. The penalty assessed from the end of the run, 10 yards, first down.
Rick Venturi was saying yesterday, hey, I'm just looking for little successes, small successes. Just worry about the next play. Don't worry about the game. The next play, the next series.
3:02 left in the third. We got a pitcher's duel here.
Well, Eric Dickerson has just come back out. 13 carries, 24 yards on the night for Eric Dickerson. And, it seems amazing. Just a couple of years ago, it looked like Eric Dickerson was going to breeze to becoming the all-time leading rusher in NFL history. Now, I'm not so sure that he's going to make it on this team. He's going to make it as the leading all-time rusher.
He's back, but he's not in the game. From the 23, the Colts go to work. The Gibbs to the second man, Clark, nothing there. Carnell Lake has been playing on the line all night long. Brian Hinkle helped him on the stop. And another man down. Boy, that looks like Bruce Perkins.
It's unbelievable. Just unbelievable. 1, 2, 3, but 4 backs have gone down for the Colts now. Albert Bentley, Dickerson was down, Anthony Johnson, and now Perkins.
3 of them tonight.
They have more injuries than first downs.
Now let's, while we have a moment, take a look at tonight's Coors Light scoreboard.
The Redskins are playing awfully good defense. We knew about their offense. Boy, they're playing good defense.
The Broncos had an awful time of it.
Yeah, Warren Moon had a pretty good day, though, didn't he?
Wow.
Yeah.
Patriots are competitive this year.
Yeah. Well, you raise an interesting point. I mean, how do you get competitive? Here you see the frustration of the Colts. They're 0-5. We talked about you need stability starting with the owner, and the Colts have not had that. But take the New Orleans Saints. I think they're a perfect example. It took them, 13 years in their franchise's history to finally get 500. And then now in their 25th year, their silver anniversary year, they're one of the most dominant teams. But how did they get there from the abysmal to where they are now? Well, it was stability. They got Jim Finks as their general manager. They hired Jim Mora. They stuck with him. They had some tough years, but ultimately with a couple of drafts, they've come around, and now they're one of the dominating teams in the NFL.
Well, the lack of stability has hurt the Colts. The injury situation has been horrendous this year. Ray Donaldson, a broken leg. Albert Bentley, reconstructive knee surgery. We told you about the tight ends. Pat Tomberlin, a broken leg. Bill Schultz, knee surgery. The guys who are hurt tonight. It hasn't been a pretty sight, but the Colts are still in the game. Back right after this. Well, Perkins appears to be okay. May come back into the game, but at the moment they go with their only remaining running back. That's Ken Clark. James Coley, who's been here about 8 days, and Bob Morasco, I think, joined the team on Wednesday, are the 2 tight ends.
Jeff George was saying, hey, guys are coming in the locker room and introducing themselves. And they're saying, are you the quarterback? You must be the new guy.
George will throw. It's off to Clark. He's got a little room to run. Lake missed him, but then he's hit and knocked down by Brian Hinkle. It's 3rd and long.
It's 3rd about, 5 or 6 maybe. But there's never been any sense of rhythm in this Colt offense tonight. You know, and some of it, Pittsburgh's defense, they played relatively well, but Rick Venturi hasn't had a series of plays that have kind of worked, that you can run one play and then throw a play action off it. The sequencing of plays has been just no rhythm.
George flips it out the other way to Clark. He has a first down and out of bounds near the 40-yard line. Greg Lloyd ran him out at the 39, but a first down for the Colts.
You know, they can't afford for this guy to get hurt because he is the last guy they can play in the backfield for him tonight. But he's done a nice job of receiving, known as more of a runner, clearly at Nebraska. But again, out there in the flat, he's done a nice job of catching the ball in full stride and then making a play.
Dickerson with that hamstring problem has not re-entered the game. Hester wide left, Brooks to the right.
The amazing thing is the Colts are still in this football game.
Very much so. Brooks in motion left, comes back right. The give is to Clark. Nothing there. He may have gotten a yard, no more than that. And when they try to run the ball, it's not a pretty sight.
Remember what they gave up for Jeff George, Chris Hinton, the tackles now with the Atlanta Falcons, Andre Rice, and their deep threat has had a nice career with the Falcons thus far.
Andre's going to try to play pro basketball.
Yeah, did you see that? Jeez. I still think it's the right trade because they have a guy, Jeff George, who could be a franchise quarterback for the next 10, 12 years maybe, but he's got to have the proper environment, I think, to be able to prosper. He doesn't have that now. Hasn't had it for 2 years.
Hester left, Brooks right. Second and 10. Clark tries again. Nothing there. He loses a yard. Donald Evans got there and really creamed him.
Donald Evans, number 66 for the Pittsburgh Steelers at defensive. He runs down a lot of plays that most defensive linemen can't get to. Watch him at the top of the screen. Just a nice read by him. Now, here's a guy who was drafted by the Rams. They tried to make a running back out of him. He gets released. Pittsburgh picks him up, and now he's started for the last 2 years for the Steelers and played pretty doggone well.
Perkins has a strained neck. He is out for the night. The problems continue for the Colts. Dickerson hasn't been counted out yet, but he's not in the lineup, which tells you something. In the third quarter is history. At the end of 3, it's a 7-3 game. The Steelers have the lead. Can the Colts mount an offense? We'll be back to find out right after this.
I love fans. These guys that scream at the quarterback, they find that receiver 40 yards downfield, and then they can't find their keys after the game.
Which is perhaps a good thing. 3rd and 9 from the 40.
That's for the Atlanta Braves. By the way, congratulations to you and the Braves.
Well, not to me. Congratulations to me. 3rd and 9. George has to run out of the pocket. He throws. He's got a man. No, loose football. Incomplete. Cornell Lake knocked it loose. It was intended for Ken Clark, and once again the Colts will have to punt it away, and you see the frustration on Jeff George's face. He made a good throw that time.
Yeah, well, it was a pretty good throw. Early on, very good coverage by the Steelers because the protection wasn't bad early on, but it was a perfect throw. And again, you know, coaches get fired because players can't make catches, can't make plays, they fumble the ball, they can't kick field goals. Those kind of things get coaches fired.
They're reviewing the play. I don't know why.
He dropped the ball.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody picked up the ball, though, Skip.
After further play, the play stands 4th down.
Well, we just wasted a little time for absolutely no reason there. Now the punt will be made. 4th and 9 from the 40. Woodson is back there to return it. He was not in that position the last time the Colts punted it away. He gets another good kick away, and Woodson fields it at the 22. Breaks one tackle, heads for the sideline. He's got it set up. Midfield, and I think he stepped out of bounds. He did. He stepped out of bounds in Colt territory at the 48-yard line. A 37-yard kick, a 29-yard return, and the Steelers are in business.
You know, it kind of reminds me of maybe Willie Mays as a center fielder. He's just so casual about returning these punts. But then, you know, he's got the strength to break through some tackles and then speed to outrun people. Now, Rod Woodson has been wanting to play offense for the Steelers for a number of years now. And Chuck Noll will not let him do so, but, man, the way things are going and the way he runs, maybe you give him a chance. Here's the definitive angle of him stepping out. There's the left foot.
So the Steelers have the ball in great field position. 14:36 left in the game. Hodge and Foster, the running backs. Eric Green in motion. It's easy to notice him. Hand chases Brister. He's got a man. Callaway complete and out of bounds inside the 25-yard line.
Callaway has had kind of a nice night filling in for Lewis Lips, who's again out with an injury. Pretty good fake here by Bubby Brister. Pretty good fake. And then Callaway comes wide open on a crossing route, again, against a zone defensive team, which the Colts are. If he can run some crossing routes, sooner or later that wide receiver coming across the zone is going to come open. And that time was right near the sideline, but Callaway did come open. 3 catches, 71 yards in the night.
From the 24-yard line, the Steelers go to work. Boy, if they score here, the way the Colts have struggled offensively, it'd be a little tough. White Stone wide left. I mean, if they score a touchdown. Confusion reigns supreme. And Pittsburgh, for that reason, calls timeout. And Chuck Noll, I know, isn't happy about that. You don't like to squander those timeouts. 14:05 remaining in the game. The Steelers have a first down deep in Indianapolis territory, and we'll be back.
The NFL on TNT is brought to you by Allstate. For home, auto, life, and business insurance, you're in good hands with Allstate.
Well, there's the opinion of a couple of apparent Colts fans here. First and 10 at the 24-yard line. Hodge and Foster are the running back. Brister goes to work. He's going to throw. He does. It's Foster. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown. Barry Foster.
Boy, the Steelers have not had many good offensive plays, but boy, when they have been on, they've had a couple of sensational ones. And what you like there is watch Barry Foster. He is catching the ball on the move, facing toward the goal line. So he's not turned his back to the defense. He's not running a little hook route. He's catching the ball while he's moving upfield. Then he splits the defense, breaks a tackle, gets to the end zone. But you get a receiver the ball while he's moving full speed, you have a chance for some big, big plays.
Gary Anderson will try to make it 14-3, and he succeeds. In this half, Brister 6 out of 6 for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Can the Colts come back from an 11-point deficit? Probably not, but we'll be back to see right after this. Clarence Verdun is the deep man. Anderson will kick it off. It's 14-3 with 13:58 left. Next week, the Giants are at Pittsburgh, and the Colts go to Buffalo.
Good luck. They've played Buffalo twice this season.
Verdun will bring it up. And he gets outside for a moment, but now he's hemmed in, and he fails to reach the 20-yard line. Ernie Mills, who's had a good night on special teams, runs him down.
Skip, let's
look
go
at
back.
the touchdown.
Yeah, let's go back. You're going to take a look at Barry Foster. Here's the running back who's going to run a route right down here. But watch how many defenders miss him. I mean, you're going to see a bunch of guys just miss the tackle on Barry Foster. They take a bad angle. Again, he catches the ball on the move, but you see 3 blue jerseys there, none of whom have taken the angle, and then 1 missed tackle.
Wow. Jesse Hester wide to the left, Brooks to the right. Play action, he's going to throw. George runs out of the pocket and unloads. Got a man all alone. Hester complete at the 38-yard line. There's no doubt he can throw the ball if he just has time. Perkins, who we were told would not come back into the game,
You see the eye
is back in the game.
Yeah. You see the eye black that Jeff George was wearing? I was asking him before the game, why do you wear that stuff indoors? He said, you know, it's an absolute superstition. It does nothing for me, but I've been wearing it since high school, and I'm superstitious.
He's an honest man. They give him the 40-yard line. Hester wide to the left, Brooks to the right. Gets the ball and gets about 3 as he dives forward. Donald Evans on the stop, and the clock ticks with 13:05 remaining in the game.
Skip, you know, the Colts came in averaging 8 points a game. And you see how many kickers have actually scored more points than the Colts have this season.
And we're not just sitting here beating on the Colts for no reason, but we got to tell you the truth of the situation.
Well, that's what he's got to fix. That's why he has the job.
I don't envy him the job. I really don't. 2nd and 7. George to throw. Lloyd with the pressure. The pass is complete. Clark is hit immediately by Woodson, and he is dropped. Lloyd got to George as well. I wonder about Jeff George as we look at this replay. This is 3 offensive coordinators, 2 years, a downer situation here. Myers was his good friend, so was the offensive coordinator. They are really messing with a very valuable psyche there, aren't they?
Well, you're right, because it's a guy, he's a young quarterback, and as we talked earlier, there's a process you go through. I mean, Terry Bradshaw went through it, Dan Marino went through it, although his adjustment was not nearly as great, but you need to have the kind of environment where you can go through the process, learn what you have to become a top-flight NFL quarterback. He's not been surrounded by that for his 2 years.
3rd and 5. He has to run for his life. Now he throws. A diving try by Brooks, and he made the play. Inbound. Heck of a play by Brooks.
Yeah, and by Jeff George. There's absolutely no doubt that Jeff George he's a very gifted player. He's got some remarkable skills. The ball can come out of his hand very quickly, and he can make throws like this. Now, Brooks against the press corner of Delton Hall. Fakes in, gets a nice little separation from the defender, and then a pretty good adjustment. That's the 3rd time we've seen Bill Brooks tonight. 1 up high, where he went up, jumped, and caught the ball, and 2 down low.
Brooks goes to the right, Hester to the left. Little drive. Boy, you feel like if the Colts could ever score a touchdown, it might get the monkey off their back, and they play pretty good football. From the 49-yard line. Complete again at the 40, and down he goes. Gerald Williams in on the stop.
You know, just like Rick Venturi wants from this team, he wants them just thinking about the next play. Just get a first down. Don't worry about the score right now. Just keep it going. Play hard every down.
1st and 10 at the 38. They've marched it right down the field.
They have not done what they wanted to do tonight, Skip, really, is run the ball with any success.
Brooks comes limping out to the left, Hester to the right. Clark tries to run it, nothing there. Down he goes, absolutely nowhere to go. David Little got him first.
David Little, well, he adds a lot to this Pittsburgh Steeler defense. He said in their week off, they worked a little bit against the run and shoot just to get ready for the Oilers later in the year. He says, "Boy, I hate the run and shoot, but this is the kind of game I want to play in, where teams try to run the ball at us."
They are 23 rushes, 43 yards, 1.8 per carry. And they trail 14-3. 2nd and 10 from the 38. George throws, flags fly in the area where you would expect holding. But we'll wait and see. Chris Conlon was closest to the flag, but we'll see what's what.
I think it's a 4th holding call maybe against the Colts tonight.
But you can see the frustration on his face.
Holding.
It's a rather
79 offense. 10 yards. Still 2nd down.
Jeff has a rather unusual grip on the ball, Skip, and he got it really by watching Terry Bradshaw as a young man. Bradshaw used to put his index finger, his right index finger, on the top of the ball, and that's exactly what George does.
I see part of the Colts' problem now. They called that penalty on a lineman who is not even here.
Yeah.
I think it was Chris Conlon, but that's not the number they called out. Verdun wide to the left, Brooks to the right, and Hester in the slot to the right side. It's 2nd and 20 from the 48. He wants to throw a screen, and he does to Clark. Diving tackle and a good play by Aaron Jones, but a sizable advance nonetheless. Clock ticks with 9.5 minutes left.
That play was well set up, one of the very few that the Colts have had tonight, but that thing was well designed. You see, you get the right index finger, a good little pump fake on top of the ball, and he does get rid of it very quickly. No wasted motion at a Jeff George's throwing motion.
3rd and 12 from the 41-yard line.
That guy is easily entertained.
He certainly is, Ollie. Now play is harder here. What's the problem then? Larry Nimmers will keep us posted here.
The game clock should read 9 minutes and 4 seconds. Please run the game clock to 9:04.
They say there's a mistake on the game clock. They say it should be 9:04 instead of 9:32.
I don't know why the fans are booing. You'd think they couldn't wait to get home.
No, okay. 9:04 left. It's 14-3.
Play clock to 16 seconds. The play clock to 16 seconds.
Now they set the play clock to 16, so they're going to try to set it to 16 seconds.
Was there an echo in here? I thought I just heard him say that.
I couldn't think anything else to say that wouldn't get us in trouble. Third down and a long 12. George has time, runs out of time, drops the football, it's loose, big pile up. The Steelers have the ball. Oh. He just simply dropped that one as he started to run.
Well, at the top of the broadcast, we said professional players have to take some responsibility. And you could talk about coaching changes all you want, but players have got to make the plays.
Donald Evans made the recovery. We think it was Craig Vesey who was chasing George out of the pocket. The Steelers have it back, and it looks like a bomb scare here as the folks head for the exit. And I hope all the Steeler fans who are staying at our hotel go home tonight. Get some rest.
The Steelers, although they're going to win this game, and it's 14-3 now, but they still have some major question marks. This has not been a sterling offensive performance, certainly by the Steelers tonight. And if they're going to catch the Oilers, they're going to have to be a lot more productive on offense. They're going to have to get some of their young wide receivers, Jeff Graham and Ernie Mills, that we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast.
Brister to throw on first down. Stone with it, not out of bounds, near the 35-yard line. Good ran him out at the 35.
Well, Jeff George is trying to do an awful lot now. He knows Eric Dickerson is not in the game, but this is just a plain old drop. Actually, I think it hit his thigh as he was beginning to scramble. But here's a guy who's been hit and beaten up most of the evening. He might be a little silly, quite honestly. Let's check to see if he has all his teeth right now.
It's probably before your time, but I remember an outstanding young quarterback prospect, Randy Johnson, in Atlanta, the first year of that expansion situation, with no offensive line at all. I think it ruined him. Hodge with the ball, and he puts his head down and slips through for 3, perhaps 4 yards.
Well, Skip, you make an interesting point. I believe Terry Bradshaw is the only quarterback drafted #1 in the entire draft that has gone on to lead his team to a Super Bowl. No other quarterback drafted #1 in the entire draft has done so except for Bradshaw. Now look at the rookie years. George in his second year, but Jeff George had a terrific year a year ago. More touchdowns and interceptions. That's very significant for any quarterback. Doesn't have it going this year. But the difference, Bradshaw, they built a defense around Terry Bradshaw. Joe Green was there in '69 before Bradshaw came, but then the L.C. Greenwoods and the Jack Hams and the Lamberts and all those kind of guys.
And the stability of the coaches.
Yep.
Foster with the ball on a sweep to the 30, cuts it inside and pulls to the 20-yard line and took Michael Ball, the safety man, with him.
Well, you can get a headache if you have to tackle Barry Foster too much in a night. When Michael Ball, the strong safety, he was worried about having to tackle Eric Green, the tight end, but I'd say Barry Foster will give you a little bit as well.
7.5 minutes remaining. Getting back to that thing and the stability now. If you have the stability, you wind up doing the halftime show on CBS. If you don't, who knows what's going to happen to you when your career is over.
Exactly right.
1st and 10 from the 20. Pitch back. Foster with it again. Inside the 15. Down to the 10-yard line, and he carried 3 men with him. Scott Radisek made the stop along with a reserve, Tony Walker and Eugene Daniel.
You know, Skip, I think back about the Steelers a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, in their first 2 games, they were outscored 92-10, the Steelers were. But they didn't panic. They didn't say, let's fire the head coach, although some people say, hey, the game has passed this guy by. Well, he got it turned around. Well, they didn't panic, and they ended up in the playoffs. And he has obviously done something right in his 23 years.
2nd and 1 with 6:35 left. Hines up the middle, 1st down and goal at the 7-yard line.
The thing about Chuck Noll, too, is I think he's always had an affection and affinity for linemen, offensive and defensive linemen. Started with Cleveland as a running guard, brought in plays for the old Cleveland Browns, and still at practice spends a lot of time with the offensive linemen.
Just to make things worse, Mike Pryor, the starting free safety, comes limping off the field, and Dave McClellan takes his place for the Colts. 6 minutes left, and it couldn't end soon enough for the Indianapolis fans. The good guy, Eric Green, is in motion. The pitch is to Hines. Touchdown, Steelers, I think. Or no, they're not going to give it to him. They say he was down at the inch line. Eric Green led the way with a fine block. And I'll tell you what, at 285, when he blocks you, you're blocked.
But this is a great play by number 31, Michael Ball, defense. Right in the bottom of your screen. Now, Hodge has a pretty good running start. And he's a little bit lower than Ball is. But somehow or other, Michael Ball makes a play and stops Hodge just short of his goal line.
McLuhan checked into the game and just got hammered. 285-pound Eric Green. 2nd and inches. Brister wants to throw for it. There'll be pass interference there, and it'll be 1st and goal. Keith Taylor all over Merrill Hodge. 5:02 left.
If Brister was looking for Eric Green, who, from this vantage point, he looks open, but it's a lot different from the vantage point that Bubby Brister has, believe me.
Defensive pass
back in the end zone. Now, so he looks over there, but to Brister, he sees a blue jersey in front of him and says, hey, I'm not going to take a chance with a 14-3 lead.
Keith Taylor was going for the ball, but he got his feet tangled up with those of Merrill Hodge. So it's 1st and goal at the 1. I'll bet you a hot dog that they score.
No, as a matter of fact. You always like to go out on a limb like that, don't you?
Kind of guy I am. Warren Williams fits into the game, along with Hodge. Malarkey in motion. Hodge dives in there for a touchdown.
Well, the Steelers have now put up 3 touchdowns in tonight's game, and there's been a lot of talk in the last couple of weeks why there isn't any scoring, or the scoring's way down. There's the offensive line surge. Hodge has kind of found a little crease there, but I really think what's going on in the NFL, Skip, is you have, I counted today, 11 teams in the NFL still in Week 6 unsettled at the quarterback position. Now, neither one of these teams, but 11 teams in the NFL, I think that's one of the reasons scoring's down. There's a lot of theories espoused, and some of them are all partially right.
Gary Anderson nails that, and it's 21-3. And so, the Bengals and Colts, the only teams yet to win, will be back. Now it's time for tonight's GMC Truck Leaderboard, Pat.
Boy. Well, we talked about what's going on in the NFL and scoring. You see what's happening through 1991, and everybody's got a theory, and some of them, I believe, really have some validity. But as I was saying, I think a lot of uncertainty at the quarterback position leads to a lot of people running the ball inside the 20 or not getting any drives going, no scoring.
A knuckleball kick bounces into the end zone and then out of bounds, and so the Colts will start at the 20-yard line.
Well, Skip, believe it or not, it has been 8 quarters and 10 minutes since the last Colt touchdown.
I'll be darned. And that's a problem they have to address. And now their running backs are all banged up, and their offensive line is all banged up, and they go to Buffalo next week. And a few years ago they started 0-13. I hope that doesn't happen to them again.
Yeah, you know, talking to some of the Colt players this week, they said, hey, we're not playing very well, but nobody on this team has quit. And that gets harder and harder if you continue to lose.
To throw. Evans is after him. Evans has got him. Flags fly. That's a loss of about 7. Probably a holding penalty as well. If I ran the Colts, I'd get Jeff George out of there right now.
Well, you know, Skip, he actually had pretty good protection early on. But again, zone defense by the Steelers. Everybody's covered, nowhere to go,
penalty decline,
and nowhere to step up into the pocket. Pretty good protection on the outside by the tackles, but it was the guards, both of whom are starting their very first NFL game tonight. The offensive guards, Chris Conlon and Mark Vanderpool, but the guards didn't keep their guys close to the line of scrimmage, and nowhere for George to step up.
2nd and 16. That's 5 sacks, and the Colts have lost 44 yards. The give is to Clark, and he gets 1.
And that shows you how bad things are when you can't run a draw, and that's kind of situation when everybody's looking for a pass. You're down 14-3. You don't have anything to go to. No fallback.
Kevin Smith, a reserve defensive back, a rookie free agent out of Rhode Island, and on the snap. Looked like the Steelers were offside. George has a free play, finds Clark, and Clark is run out of bounds by Delton Hall out of Clemson. Delton, they call him. The Steelers have a 1-hour flight
there's been a lot
to look forward to.
Penalties tonight, haven't there?
Yes. In a word, yes.
Yeah. Man.
So let's see what's what this time. Over on the Pittsburgh side, Neil O'Donnell is limbering up and could enter the game. For this one is decided.
There he is. Didn't in his second year is Neil O'Donnell. Didn't take a snap all of last year, but he's had a chance this year to actually play pretty well in a couple of games.
Don't forget, next week we will be in Seattle. And the Raiders and the Seahawks will get together. We're in yet another dome. And after the game, don't forget our stadium show post-game, as this game and all the games around the NFL today are analyzed by Fred Hickman, Kevin Kiley,
on the right tackle,
Kenny Stabler, and Ernie Johnson Jr.
Offside, number 97 defense. Penalties,
offsetting plays, and we get to do all this again.
Down.
There was a polite Steeler there. I think it was Woodson who said, "Excuse me, but," and then they quickly cut off the mic. I would have liked to heard the rest of that.
Well, the Colts were hoping to have some questions answered tonight, Skip. Could Eric Dickerson do at age 31? Would they play for more enthusiasm with Rick Venturi? And no
screen pass, and a heck of a stop by Kevin Smith. The youngster from Rhode Island comes up with his second play. It was the pass went to Perkins, and the Colts will have to kick, and this place is devoid of Colt fans. Almost all Steeler fans remain.
We're just going to finish up the thought. The questions really haven't been answered. You know, and Rick Venturi in his second week as a head coach in the NFL, well, he's got a lot of work. First of all, he's going to have to interview some more people. All these injuries, he's going to have to bring in some running backs this week and find some guys who could suit up next week.
Yet more confusion will be the result of that in all likelihood. Here's the kick, and Woodson calls a fair catch at the 46-yard line, and the Steelers will have the football. We're not trying to drop a bomb on Venturi, but his first head coaching job was at Northwestern. He was just 31 years old. You know how tough it is for that school to compete in the Big Ten. He was 131-1 there, the one win being against Wyoming. So this is his second time around, and it's really it's not an impossible task, but it's awful close.
Yeah, it is. But look what's happened with interim head coaches. only 7 have had winning records. And there is a reason why they're interim coaches, because if things aren't going well, you're trying to turn the program around.
Here's the give to Warren Williams, the running back, and he gets a couple, and he keeps the clock moving. It was interesting in the pregame show to hear Jim Irsay say that they would not turn complete control over to a veteran football man head coach.
But see, you're not going to get a guy like a Joe Gibbs. Not that Joe Gibbs is looking for a job, but a guy of that quality and that caliber is going to want to have control when he comes into the Colts. And if they're not willing to do that, they're going to have to settle for someone else. A lot of names being thrown around. Buddy Ryan's name has been in the paper here twice in the Indianapolis Star the last 2 days. Mike White, who's an assistant with the Raiders, his name has been tossed around in the papers here in Indianapolis.
And that makes it tough for the interim coach, too. Every time you pick up the paper, you and your players read yet another name.
Well, you know, all the assistant coaches were saying this week, Skip, is, hey, we know we're fired. We know we're gone. So think about these guys. They're having one eye on the ball. The others, they're saying, hey, I got to think about a job for next year.
3:18 remaining. The Steelers will work from the 43. Leroy Thompson, Warren Williams now the running backs, and Neil O'Donnell out of Maryland is the quarterback. The pitch back comes to Leroy Thompson, and he breaks the tackle and loses the football, and a big pile ensues. And let's see who gets the ball. The Steelers still have it. Tony Siragusa out of Pittsburgh of the Colts actually came out of the pack with the ball, but the play had already been whistled dead, and we're down to 3:05 remaining.
You know, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they came in and wanted to pick it up a couple of levels defensively, see some more guys around the ball. I think we saw that, Skip. I think we saw a pretty good Steeler defense with playing with some intensity that they had not played with this year so far, but offensively they still have some riddles to solve.
3rd and 1. Busted play. Now O'Donnell throws. Complete to Eric Green. Out of bounds. First down. 33-yard line. Tony Walker ran him out. Don't forget, don't be of faint heart and don't give up on TNT for following this game. A Chuck Norris movie, Eye for an Eye, will come up on Turner Network Television. So stay tuned. This game belongs to the Steelers. It will be in the Kingdome. 1 week from tonight, everything will start a half hour earlier at 7 o'clock Eastern Time for the stadium show. You can see Brister a pretty good night.
Yeah, you really had a productive evening. And that's what happens when your running game is going decently and your defense is playing real well.
O'Donnell kids to the second man through. Leroy Thompson, he breaks the tackle, and he's at the 26-yard line. 2.5 minutes remaining in our game. Radisek and Siragusa on the stop. A paper airplane is about to land at the far end of the field in the end zone, and that brings the biggest crowd reaction of the last half hour.
It was a nice little flight there.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, what time is yours in the morning?
We're down to discussing.
You're reaching. You are really reaching.
Speaking of reaching, we've reached the 2-minute period. Our McDonald's our McDonald's McLean Deluxe player of the game is...
There he is, Rod Woodson. That's all he did, 7 tackles, and the key 29-yard punt return.
And brought a lot of excitement to the game as he tried to field some punts and kickoffs tonight.
That's exactly right.
21-3 is our score, 2 minutes left. The Steeler faithful still hanging on here. And that's about it. Eric Green goes in motion to give. Straight ahead goes Warren Williams out of Miami. He gets about 2 and more importantly keeps the clock running.
You know, what's really played pretty well for the Steelers is the offensive line.
They had a little trouble establishing the running game, which they wanted to do, running it inside the tackles early, but they trailed, remember, 3-0 at halftime.
Well, you know, you saw Rick Venturi again. They said, hey, he's got 11 games to show progress.
And that's tough to do with the situation he inherits.
And, you know, there is a scenario, actually, that he comes back next year as the defensive coordinator again and not the head coach.
Which might create all sorts of other problems. Williams keeps his feet, dives forward. He's close to the first down. It'll depend on the spot just outside the 20-yard line, and the clock continues to run. If you're the new head coach, do you want the interim coach from the year before on your staff?
No, probably not. But he's the guy who survived a couple of head coaching changes here before. He's been on the staff since 1982. Kind of worked his way up as a linebacking coach and then ultimately the defensive coordinator. And really was the only logical choice when they decided to make a change with Ron Meyer. He brings a lot of enthusiasm and discipline and to the game.
First and 10, and this should be the last play of the contest. Pitch play to Warren Williams. He breaks a tackle, spins outside, is down at the 14-yard line. Keith Taylor there on the stop. And as this game comes to a close, here's the AFC East.
Now the Bills will play tomorrow night, play the Chiefs. Dolphins come from behind today, and the Colts remain winless. They and the Cincinnati Bengals.
And this one is history, and Chuck Noll heads off with yet another win, and Rick Venturi loses his first as an NFL coach. 21-3 is our final score. The Colts go to Buffalo next week. The Steelers go home to play the Giants. So this one is on the board, and we'll be back to the Hoosier Dome right after this.
NFL on TNT is brought to you by GMC Truck, the strength of experience. And by McDonald's, getting more for your money. That's McDonald's today.
It don't rain in Indianapolis. Once again, the final score, Steelers 21, Colts 3. Join us next Sunday. We travel to Seattle as the Raiders-Seahawks get together. The Raiders were upset at home by the Chargers 21-13 today. Seattle won on the road 13-7 at Cincinnati, so be sure to tune in next week on TNT. Coming up next, the Stadium Show postgame. Fred Hickman and company will have live interviews with the Steelers and the Colts. Ernie and the Snake will have scores and highlights of today's action. The Stadium Show postgame coming up next. Pat Hayden will be involved in that as well. For Pat, from Indianapolis, Skip Carey. So long, everybody.